Hello and welcome to the AFL High Performance Podcast for football staff and athletes. Today I'll be discussing everything you know when it comes to total body strength and power, how to be more explosive, and the off-season is no better time to develop the fundamentals for athleticism. So if you're in off-season mode, make sure to get the notebook out. If you're tuning in live, feel free to send through some questions so I can tailor some of these tips to you specifically. Obviously, those playing in finals where everyone wants to be, maybe revisit this podcast in a few weeks after you've had a couple of weeks rest after hopeful successful premiership. But we'll dive straight into it. So I'll discuss some of the benefits when it comes to improving your aerial ability, your ability to not only contest aerially, but be dominant with contested marks, make it really challenging for the defenders to be able to spoil, and then equally for your intercept markers, which is a big part of the game at the moment. It's one of the more effective strategies is through intercept possession and quickly moving the ball through from defense to offense, that transition. So if you can be an aerial threat as a defender, equally important. And then of course just your classic, those that need to diffuse the forwards through spoiling and being aerially, being able to negate the key forwards and small forwards that can jump and contest in the air. Rotational power, so your ability to be able to separate from the defenders through rotational power, like the fend off, or using your hips and shoulders to shrug off a tackle. Equally using your strength and power to be able to stick your tackles. So for the contest side of things, some of these tips and exercises will help with that. It's also known to boost your arousal levels as well by doing explosive work. So from a mental point of view, for coaches listening in, if you're working at local grassroots, you could do some of these exercises with simple bands and medicine ball. And as long as the intent's done at a world-class level where they're moving really fast and explosive, and the program allows them to do so with exercises and rep ranges around 3 to 5, just with a few exercises, should only take you 15 minutes max. This can help with alertness and focus and being able to retain information going into meetings. So it's good from that point of view, which is obviously critical in team sport and the tactical side of things. But also we want to microdose our strength and power across the week. So the more hits that we can get frequently throughout the week, the better chance we have for getting good adaptation. How to tailor our training using testing for those that do have access to force plates, understanding the strategy that best suits that athlete. So for some, it's going to be moving through greater ranges of motion where they generate the most amount of power and best outputs, and spend a bit more time with their contraction time. For others, it's going to be shorter and more snappier, and they're going to be more your tendon-based athletes. So understanding your athlete, using testing to inform your coaching, and also letting the athletes know, particularly the younger athletes that might not be aware and are still learning, giving them feedback on what their best looks like and what their strategy is to allow them to put their strengths on show. So everyone could be doing the same program, but how they do it could be very different, and their intent could be focusing on different things. Equally, we can get a bit fancy with our programming as well and start to group guys and change the exercise prescription to suit their types. So if we're trying to improve our power and we're trying to program for those that do spend a bit more time through range of motion with their contraction time, then doing more slow stretch shortening cycle activities could be useful. So it might be like a paused squat jump. It could be a broad jump where you're not continuous, but you're sticking it after each one and maximally focusing on projection. Whereas for the shallow, more explosive tendon-based athletes, they could be doing take the pause out of it and focus on being really fast. So it might be a cue of 3, 2, 1 jump, and on jump they've got to be jump as high as they can, but as fast as possible. So you're still doing the same exercise, you're just doing it differently. And then for the broad jumps, it would be continuous. So like a kangaroo, and the cue for those athletes is, imagine the floor's boiling hot. I want you to be jumping as far as you can, but as quick as you can. So for them, they're going to rely more on that fast, short stretching cycle. Common mistakes, I'll dive into that. And then we'll go into some tips and tricks as well at the end. So make sure to tune at the end for some AFL tips on how to maximize your off-season training. But I thought I'll start off with sharing our off-season program and giving the viewers that tune in on YouTube. So if you're listening to this on our podcast, I'll be referencing this shared screen. So feel free to find the YouTube channel and have a look at this program. So if we start with the week that we're currently on, being the 13th of September. So if we look at the upcoming week on the 15th of September, we've got a mix of low volume strength training with some plyometrics, so drop jumps, low box step ups and box step up jumps, so some unilateral power. We've got a pure upper body strength focus with short range of motion. So this is for athletes that are still in that finals phase. So we're looking to sharpen their weapons with low volume and high intensity. The med ball circuit there with granny toss, which is basically just throwing the ball and going through triple extension with your ankles, extending, your knees extending, and your hips, and throwing the ball as far back behind you as you can. Med ball rebound throw, so lying on your back, having a partner drop the ball with a bit of velocity, and you're not letting that ball hit your chest. You're being really explosive, so really good for that fend off, explosive power. Rotational slams, where you're rotating your shoulders and hips and ankles and making as much noise into the ground as you can. All these exercises you can find on our YouTube channel if you go to the power playlist as well. Single arm jammer. Jammers are great for this time of year. Typically, shoulders can be a bit beat up from the long year, where that neutral grip, unilateral grip, can be quite shoulder friendly, and just getting athletes to move fast. If you don't have a jammer machine, then you can use the landmine for similar sort of use and adaptation for that. Incline dumbbell row, just hitting the back, and then a shoulder complex to finish. So not a lot of volume there. There's 4, 8, 12, only 14 sets, plus some explosive work with the medicine ball. Okay, so we're keeping it under 20 sets typically with these power sessions. And then Friday, an optional primer. So some run drills and mobility of your choice. And then with a partner, you go, I go, banded fend off, banded wood chops, which is just a rotational power exercise, and banded broad jumps. A 10-meter sprint. Now, if your ankles or tendons are a bit sore, the older athletes, we can be doing that on a bike. So like a 5-second maximal watt bike effort. If we're focusing on acceleration, have them off the seat, so they're in that, really generating that power and that high wattage. If you're focusing on max velocity, that suits your position a bit more and what you're going for, then I would have the seat up at your hip height, and low resistance around 3 or 4 on the watt bike, and you're trying to have a flying effort. So it might be a couple of seconds, gradual acceleration, and then really drive hard to get a peak watts. Good target over 1,000 watts. Then we've just got some a bit of a pump, which a lot of footballers for all codes generally like to do to finish off. So barbell shrugs, bicep curls, and skull crushes to finish off with a pump. So that's a pretty classic primer session there. Should only take 15 minutes or so. So that's a standard week for those in finals. If we're going into off-season mode, so let's say for most of you that's going to be middle of October, we want to start getting into it around here. So we've got 3 total body sessions. This is typically after 2 weeks of complete rest, no structure at all. So this would be the earliest for someone that probably didn't play finals or maybe played 1 or 2 weeks of finals. They're starting in the first week of September. We've got some plyometric work here. So we're waking up our tendons, some repeated jumps, high and fast, some single leg forward hops, more horizontal focus, high and fast, and some skipping, really good for that rudiment extensive work, building our tendon capacity up and robustness. And then it's just a pretty standard total body strength session. Total body sessions are great in off season because they're really efficient for the athletes. So selecting exercises that they don't have to lift every day, but they can hit all the muscle groups in once. And also you want that frequency as well when we're dusting off the cobwebs and getting the body going again, you're better off doing 3 total body sessions, I think, than splitting the body parts, where athletes will be, if you're doing 25 sets of lower body, they're going to be sore for like 3 days. So just spread it over the week. Trunk, same thing, just total body session. Not a lot of power emphasis here, more just focusing on general strength, hitting all the main muscle groups. And then we've got that plyometric work again with a total body session there. Fast forward a month's time, the running volume's obviously picking up, getting ready for pre-season training. If we look at the weekly view, and you can follow this program for free for 14 days. And then if you love it, getting good results, you can join it for only $99 a month, this program here. So this is designed for males that want to improve their explosive power and work on their repeat speed. We've got a range of different programs, as you can see. So depending on your goals, whether you're male, female, which typically the demands are the same. It's just that the time of years are different. The competition schedule are different, pre-season, off-season, and in-season. So it's specific to that. Depending on your gender, we've got athlete development programs for those that are just working on their fundamentals and need to work on their technique. And the gym is more of a place of developing good habits, where we've got some more challenging programs for those that have been in the gym for a few years and they want to really maximize their off season to improve their athleticism. So that could be a bit more demanding, that program. Gainers programs for those that need to put on bulk to help their contest side of things, put on muscle, so a bit more volume across the week. And then we've got 2 different conditioning programs, those that focus more on aerobic endurance and then those more on repeat speed. So this is a standard week for our repeat speed program. As you can see, there's 3 running sessions and 4 gym sessions. And every week it builds into it. So we've got 2 classic strength sessions there, and in the middle, 2 lower body strength sessions. Then we've got in the middle more of a total body, or like an upper body strength, and then a total body power session here. And that typically our program with our more velocity-based football session as well. So that's a high CNS day, hence why we want to have a couple of days off that. And then we've got more our sort of volume threshold-based work at the end of the week, having your Sunday off and then roll through that again. Fast forward another month. So looking where preseason starts, and you've got your team training. So if we go to the end of November here, so I still have the conditioning sessions prescribed 3 times a week, but it is prefaced that if you have football training, not to follow the conditioning program. So if you can't go to football training for whatever reason, you have a session there that's closely linked to hopefully what you get out on the field. So it keeps your loads consistent and it keeps you improving as an athlete with your running side of things, which is most important for footy. Obviously, the gym is a place that's generally going to help you build robustness and prevent injuries or mitigate injuries, but and also help with your athleticism. But you can't go past the importance of sprinting, agility, and the conditioning side of things, so you can have those repeat high intensity efforts over 4 quarters. As we get later into it, there's less of a focus on the general foundational strength and more focused on explosive work, as you can see. So we've got power development in every session in this program here. So you've got your barbell step-up jump with split jumps and hurdle tuck jumps. Then we've got box squats on Wednesday with drop jumps and overspeed, which is just banded assisted squat jumps. We have power chin-ups even on an upper body day, where you explosive. You might not be going through full range, but it's really explosive chest to bar and push presses with the medicine ball circuit again. And then on the Friday, we've got our trap bar counter movement jumps with our deadlifts. So a good contrast lift there. You got your Bulgarian split squats with your step-up jumps. So as you can see, every session, we're demanding the body to be able to move at a fast rate. And that's really, really important. If you want to get faster and more explosive and more powerful, you've got to train that way, and you've got to train it frequently to get that result. So hopefully sharing those programs helped, gives you a bit of an idea of our programming as well and how it's tailored, all of them tailored to AFL footy. but also to your goals and your needs. So if you're interested, click the link on our website and you can jump into those free programs. And if you want to follow one of our coaches programs, jump on a call with me. You can book in a free call and I can discuss the options around rehabilitation, how to, maybe it's your draft year and you want to maximize your year and have a really customized program where everything's designed from scratch for you. We can discuss those options as well. There's a couple of available spots with our coaches. Going into common mistakes. So if you want to improve your power and your explosiveness, then the rep range needs to be around 3 to 6 reps max. Okay? Any longer than that, and you'll just start losing the intensity. How many exercises you do in a given session is critical. So we don't want to have a long list of exercises that are explosive in nature. Typically 2 to 3 is probably the right amount, and then think about how you can spread it over the week is the way to go, because then you're getting multiple hits across the week, and that consistent stress on the body of moving fast eventually will start to pay dividends and you'll get results. Timing of the day. So where possible, see if you can get your power sessions in before your field sessions. They're complementary. Like I said, they'll help with your attention to detail and being able to concentrate on the field. They're not going to put you at risk, like doing Nordics or Bulgarian split squats or RDLs can be potentially putting you at risk before field where you're going to sprint. These things actually aid in those fast moving patterns. So if you're going to really focus on your power and your explosiveness, doing it just before your field session, 15-minute power session would be optimal. And then the total duration as well. Like I said, most of these power sessions in mind should be around that 15 to 20 minutes. Now, if you're doing a strength session as well, and that's after the field, that's where we start going 45 to 60 minutes. But from the purely the power point of view, around that sort of the start of the session, 15 minutes or so. So hopefully that helps or help you with your programming. We've got heaps of free tips out there. If you look up Strength and Power in our podcast, it's not the first one that we've done, so you can listen to some more free tips there. But ultimately, if you want to get the best results, you need to be on the best program, and I believe ours is the best for AFL footballers. So if you want to join and have a go, join for free. Click the link in our Instagram on this podcast. I look forward to helping you out in 2026. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next episode.